reached into her bag slowly. She placed something on the kitchen table between us, small, faded at the edges the way old things go faded. I looked at it for a long time before I understood what I was seeing. And when I did understand, I felt something shift inside my chest so completely that I had to grip the edge of the table to stay where I was. Because what Eleanor had just placed in front of me meant that someone had known my secret for decades, had known everything, and had chosen, until his very last breath, to say nothing. The kitchen was quiet around us. Thomas had been gone for 40 minutes. The pot roast I had made that morning sat untouched on the stove. The letter, still sealed, still in its cream-colored envelope, sat in the center of the table where I had placed it before anyone arrived. And now, between the letter and my folded hands, there was a photograph. It was small and square, the colors faded the way photographs from the 1970s fade, everything gone slightly gold at the edges, the way old light goes gold. In it stood a man holding an infant. He was young in the photograph, perhaps 30, with sandy hair and a broad, open face, and the look of a man who had just been handed something he had not expected to love as completely as he already did. He was smiling at the camera. The baby in his arms was looking up at him. I knew his face immediately. I had not seen it in 50 years, but some faces you do not forget. Some faces are connected to a period of your life so deeply that they live inside you the way certain songs live inside you, surfacing unexpectedly, whole and unchanged, long after everything else from that time has blurred and faded. His name was Robert Hadley. He was Daniel's younger brother. I looked up from the photograph. I looked at Eleanor sitting across from me with her hands folded and her dark grey eyes steady and patient, and I said very quietly, "Where did you get this?" She said, "He gave it to me before he died, along with everything else." She reached into her bag again. This time she took out a small album, the kind with a soft cover and plastic sleeves, the kind people kept in the 1980s. She placed it on the table and she opened it to the first page, and I saw myself. Not a photograph of me, something better. A photograph of Daniel, taken the summer before he died, standing in front of his father's barn in the August light, with his hands in his pockets and his head tipped back, laughing at something outside the frame. I had never seen this photograph before. I did not know it existed, but I knew that laugh. I would have known it anywhere, the way his whole face changed when something genuinely delighted him. The way it had made me feel at 17, like the world was larger and more generous than I had understood. I put my hand over my mouth. Eleanor said quietly, "His brother kept everything. Every photograph, every letter Daniel ever wrote home from Burlington. Robert was 12 when Daniel died. He said losing Daniel was the thing that shaped his whole life, the thing that made him understand, very young, that the people you love can be gone before you finish loving them." She turned the pages slowly. There were photographs of Daniel as a boy, Daniel at his high school graduation, Daniel standing in front of the truck he drove to Burlington every morning for work, the same truck that did not bring him home on a November evening in 1973. And then, near the back of the album, there was a page that made me stop breathing entirely. It was a photograph of my mother's house, our house, the white one on Elm Street, taken from the sidewalk in what looked like early spring, the maple tree just beginning to bud. And standing on the porch, not knowing she was being photographed, was a young woman in a blue cardigan looking out at the street. Me, at 19.
Eleanor said, Robert told me that Daniel had taken that photograph 2 weeks before he died, that he had been carrying it in his jacket pocket, that when Robert went through Daniel's things afterward, that photograph was one of the few personal items he found. I could not speak. I sat with my hand over my mouth and I looked at a photograph of myself at 19, standing on a porch in early spring, taken by a young man who would be dead within the month, a young man who did not know what he had left behind. Eleanor said, "Robert raised me as his own daughter, completely, without reservation, from the day he and his wife brought me home. He never told me I was adopted until I was 32, and when he did tell me, he told me everything he knew, about Daniel, about you, about the winter of 1974, and what my mother, what you had gone through alone." She paused. She looked down at the album. She said, "He said he had always wanted to reach out to you, to let you know that she was all right, that she was loved, that she had grown up in a house full of books and a yard with a tire swing and a father who read to her every night until she was old enough to be embarrassed by it. But he did not know if it was his place. He did not know if reaching out would help you or hurt you, and so he waited. And then he got sick, and by the time he understood that he was not going to recover, it was too late to do the things he had been putting off." She reached into her bag one more time. She placed an envelope on the table beside the album. This envelope was not cream-colored and old. It was white and new, with Eleanor's name written on the front in a hand I did not recognize, but felt, looking at it, like I should. She said, "He left me this before he died. He asked me to read it after he was gone. Inside was everything he knew about you, your name, your address, the name of this town, and a letter he had written to you that he asked me to deliver if I ever found you." She slid the envelope across the table toward me. She said, "He said to tell you that he was sorry it took so long, and that Daniel would have been proud of the life you built." I sat in my kitchen on a cold November evening with 2 envelopes in front of me and a photograph album between my hands, and 50 years of silence dissolving around me like morning fog when the sun finally comes through it. And for the first time since that Tuesday in the attic, I did not feel the weight of the secret I had been carrying. I felt something else entirely, something I had almost forgotten the shape of, it had been so long. I felt seen, not by Eleanor, though that too, not by Robert's letter, though that too. I felt seen by time itself, by the strange and patient way that life moves toward wholeness, even when we are convinced it is moving toward nothing at all. I had spent 50 years believing that what happened in 1974 was a wound that had closed over without healing, a room with a locked door, a letter never sent. But the letter had been moving toward Eleanor all along, through Robert's keeping of it, through his careful years of waiting, through Eleanor's 10 years of searching, and her yearly calls to the database in Burlington. It had been moving the whole time, slowly, the way grace moves, one quiet year at a time. I reached across the table. I put my hand over Eleanor's. We sat like that for a while in the November quiet, the 2 of us, while the apple cake cooled on the counter, and the pot roast sat on the stove, and the letter in the cream-colored envelope waited in the center of the table for the moment it would finally be opened. That moment was almost here, but first there was one more thing that needed to happen, one more person who needed to come back through the door before the letter could be read. And as I sat there in the lamplight, holding my daughter's hand for the first time in 50 years, I heard something outside. tires on the gravel driveway, a truck engine going quiet, and then footsteps on the porch. Thomas had come back. What happened when he walked through that door, and what we said to each other in that kitchen before the night was over, and what I finally read aloud from that cream-colored envelope after 50 years of silence, is the story that is waiting for you in the final part. And I will tell you this much now. By the time the night was done, there was nothing left unsaid, nothing left locked away. And the table that had been set for 3 for the first time in all the years I had lived in this house finally felt full.
Have you ever received news that made you understand all at once that someone had been watching over you from a distance without you ever knowing? Leave a comment and tell me. I read every single one. And if Margaret's story has stayed with you through all of this, please subscribe so you do not miss the final part. It is the one I have been building towards since the very beginning.